go?
Good to go.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Amy, for having me here. I'm glad to speak on this presentation. I think it's going to be really helpful to a lot of you all. My name is Chris Burg again, MSP. I've been in an industry for about 11 years now. I have some certifications in this, so Network Plus, Security Plus, and I'm actually working on my Pen Test Plus, which is a cybersecurity certification, and I'm going to be looking at getting that next year. So again, we're TechBox, we're an MSP. We offer services like maintaining your systems, your computers, running updates, and offering software like Microsoft, which would include Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and then we also offer cybersecurity protection. Back in July, hackers claimed to have leaked 1.1 terabytes of Disney Slack messages. Ohio school district reports cyber attack that resulted in 1.7 million in loss, and these are both from the Cybercrime magazine. 46% of all cyber breaches impact businesses with fewer than 1,000 employees, and that's from a Strong DM blog. So with things like that, it definitely causes a little bit of trepidation and fear in us, and if you keep reading those, honestly, for me even, it stressed me out because just seeing them daily, all those breaches that are occurring and threats that we have, what do we do about that? Oftentimes we see that most people just ignore that because, that's going to definitely solve the problem. Well, it doesn't, and we do this, I think, because one, I think we see that there's no immediate threat to us as a business. There's nothing that's affecting us. We also, I think another reason we do this is because we believe it's too much work to do and change, but it's also something where we don't want to have to put new things in our business. We already have enough to deal with as it is. And lastly, I think probably the biggest thing would be is it seems like a big financial undertaking for cybersecurity. So I'm here to tell you that first of all, threats are there daily. And breaches happen daily. You can go into several different articles and you'll see daily these breaches happening to different companies, small and large. It's not just the larger companies. You can implement these changes with minimal impact, and it's actually not that difficult. I'm going to show you some of the ways you can do that. And honestly, if anything, this will improve your productivity as you work with these different tools. And then lastly, this can all be implemented at a cost-effective rate. I was looking at, if it's a 10-person operation, depends on the size of your business, but I was looking at the cost for a year with the tools that I'm about to show you guys. It's about just under $1,800 a year, and that comes out to I think $150 each month. So it's relatively reasonable for an organization, especially of 10. That's relatively reasonable. So first off, I just want to say this is not a fully fledged cybersecurity plan, but rather it's a good starting place. It depends on your type of business and how big it is, and there's always customizing to the type of business and assessing what would be best in their environment. But these protection methods that I'm about to show you guys are relatively universal for most businesses, and especially startups too. So let's just start with a definition of cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is the art of protecting networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access or criminal use, and the practice of ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. And this is from the America's Cyber Defense Agency. So today's topics are going to include authentication, email, data, antivirus, and general protection. All right, and I do have within these topics, I'm going to talk about some of the threats that you're going to face within these if you don't implement them, and then some of my proposed solutions for them and how you can practically implement them. I'm going to be going through some walkthroughs and also some demonstrations of how it would work in your business. I have all the videos that I'm going to show you guys today. I'm planning on putting those in a database and sharing that out with you. So if you guys want that, you can just give me your business card and I can send that to your email. If you're watching this on the web recording, you can send me an email at chris@yourtechbox.com. It's yourtechbox.com. and I'll go ahead and forward that to you as well. I'm only going to keep these up for a month, but I can share those all with you guys. There's some walkthroughs that I'm not going to go through, so installing an antivirus, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm not going to go through that walkthrough, and also setting up email protection, I'm not going to walk through that as well. All right, so our first topic here is authentication. So I have a question. How many of you all manage your passwords on an Excel spreadsheet? Raise of hands. Okay. How many of you? How many of you all?
Not really in Excel. I do it on the phone.
How many of you all manage your passwords on just a piece of paper? Write it down on a piece of paper. Yeah, so we all do it a different way, and there's a problem with that, and namely there's a couple different threats that can pose to you guys. One of them is credential stuffing, which is essentially where, I'm sure, actually I have another question here. How many of you all use the same password for multiple accounts?
Oh, we're all guilty of that, aren't we?
So this is actually a common thing, and it is a threat to you, because if a hacker got one of those passwords, they have access to all of the accounts on there. So that is one threat that you face. Another one is phishing. I'm sure you all have heard of it. Phishing is where they send an email, and in this case, it might be something where it says, hey, your account's compromised, reset your password now. So you reset your password and you figure out later that it wasn't legitimate, and then they have your account password. And if you kept the same password for everything, they have your password for everything. So, and then the last one, brute force attack, is where they try multiple different variations of a password. So they'll try numbers, symbols, and characters and to get into your account. So what's the solution? Well, I believe the best solution in this case is a password manager. And what that simply is a spot where you store in a secure online database your passwords, and you have one password for all of your different passwords. Advantage to this is, one, you are able to auto-generate your passwords in this app, and it stores all of those and keeps them very secure in there. Yes?
So sometimes when I type in my password, it'll say, do you want to save your password?
Yes.
Is that a do not do that, or is that going to someplace
So
safe?
that is considered a browser password manager, and that is safe as long as you put necessary protection on the account that you're saving it to.
Okay.
And I can go into that a little bit further. I'll talk about that actually in this one. How do we implement this? So I'm going to show you guys one of the ways that we implement this, and it's called 1Password. This is an app, again, that stores all of the passwords in one application, and it's a secure database and has several layers of protection on it. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you guys, and I'll just walk you through it. So I'm right here, I'm resetting a password for this account, and I'm just going to show you how that would look when using 1Password. So I'm going to kind of fast forward here. All right, so when we're resetting a password, 1Password will recognize that you are resetting a password, and it will prompt you to save it into your 1Password app. From here, you can name it whatever you'd like to name it. You can put the username in, so your email address, and then you can save that. Once you save that, it will then put it into your database there. After you do that, another step here is two-factor authentication. So how many of you all are familiar with two-factor authentication? Perfect, so we got a lot of people that know what this is. So this will allow you to set up a second step of authentication, which makes it more secure, because typically what happens is it sends a code to your phone or a auto-generated password on an app that you have, and it constantly cycles through these numbers to keep it secure, but it's all tied into a phone or a central spot where the attacker would have much more difficulty getting access to that. So this is going through the process of setting up that two-factor. I'm going to fast forward here. So one of the ways is by scanning a barcode here through this application, and I'm going to just fast forward here. In order to do this, you do have to have both windows open on there, and then you have to scan the QR code. Once you do that, it will recognize that you notice it's generating numbers. I'm going to show you another way, which will, if you don't have the barcode scanning feature, there's another way of, whoops, apologies. There is another way of taking the key here that's found underneath the barcode, and you can copy that, paste it into there, and it creates this one-time passcode. So now I'm going to show you the cooler part to all of this, which is as soon as you save this and you sign in next time into the account, it will prompt you which account you want to sign into. You click on the account, continue, it auto-generates all that for you, puts it in there, and it also puts in that one-time code for you in there as well. And actually, they just came out with another update recently that will autofill all that. So as soon as you click the account, it starts signing in, it clicks the sign in button for you, and it signs in the account. So it's a very effective and efficient way of saving your passwords and speeding up that sign-in process. Next on the list is email protection. So some of the threats that we face here is email spoofing. Email spoofing is where they will take your domain, maybe it's, for us, it's your TechBox. They might change some of that so it looks like it's coming from your TechBox. So it looks legitimate, but it's not actually. Or they might actually take your actual domain and pose as that person. If you don't have the right protection, they can actually pose as you and send emails as you. There's also malware attachment sent. So they send you an attachment, you click on it, and it installs malware. And then lastly, you've got data exfiltration, which is basically a fancy way of saying you get that password reset link, you click on it, and you give them your information there.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
I just had one over the weekend, and this, I don't know where it qualifies, if it even qualifies into, but it was an email to where a friend of mine's email got hacked,
yep.
And a bunch of emails were sent from her to all her friends.
Yes.
And then we responded, and then they were asking for gift cards
yes.
on that email.
Yes.
That's the second part. And at that point I knew, now this ain't right.
Yep.
And so we called her. So if you just click on the email, you're not going to be in threat, right? Because that
Correct.
one is threatened, just is fraud, is trying to get fraud.
Correct. Right? Yeah. So in that instance, as long as you even if you open it, it's normally fine. If you respond to it and give them the information, that's when you've crossed the line, and then they have stuff to go on there. So yes, it would be something where you'd have to click on it, open it, click the attachment, whatever it may be, inside the email.
But what about just replying to it? Because I did reply to the email.
As long,
first email.
Yeah, as long as you don't send them any confidential information.
Oh, yeah.
That's the biggest thing. But if it's something where you click on a link or you download something, that could be malicious and infect your computer. So
I've even gotten a few emails that look like they're coming from a vendor.
Yeah.
And it says click to view your invoice.
Yep.
Click to pay now your invoice.
Yeah.
And if I don't recognize it, I usually just delete it because I'm like, well, if I don't know who you are and you send me an invoice, you'll send one in the mail.
Exactly.
Or call me and say, where's money?
Exactly.
Money, right,
and I
exactly.
always say just check with the source. So like go back to a legitimate source that you know. So like call that number. Or whatever it may be, just go to them directly versus checking it out, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so.
I don't ever try to click on anything in an email.
Good, that's a good practice.
I've gotten emails that say they're from Amy Frazier, but then when you look at the email, it's
something
a weird
else. And
domain,
that's
a weird
spoofing
email.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So my proposed solution here is putting in email filtering protection and safe link protection. So email filter protection will filter out a lot of the spam that you get, and even marketing emails. You'll filter all that, as well as any potential malicious stuff. If malicious stuff does happen to go through the inbox, there's a safe link protection with this, which will essentially run it through a sandbox environment and run it on an instance that is safe and see if that is malicious or not. If it is, you click on it, and as soon as it comes up, it will say blocked because it is a malicious link there. So I'm going to show you guys just a video of how this would look for an end user here. And this is called spam type. This is actually something we resell to our clients. Let's see if I can get this to play. Oops. I had a feeling this was going to do this, so that's Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open up this video here. All right, so this is a demonstration of what it would look like for an end user with this email protection. So this is a spam quarantine report. And in this report, you see that you have several emails in there. So it's marking it as spam. This is sent to you every day at 3 a.m. And this report is giving you the last 24 hours of your spam that you got. And you have several options. So sometimes it has a false positive, which basically means it was actually legitimate email that was sent to your spam in there. And so what you can do is, one, you could deliver that into your inbox, so it'll send it straight to there if you click on that. If you hit allow, that will send it to your inbox and also allow future senders. If you click block, that will block, put that sender on a block list, and it won't allow that to come through the spam report. And then lastly, you've got the delete, which will remove it from the spam quarantine. You've also got some other options in there, allowing you to switch the frequency of the report here on a weekday, Friday. Also choose all quarantine items, or what the default has, which is sending the last 24 hours of the spam. And lastly, if you have emails in an instance where you have maybe somebody sending you something, a vendor sending something, a customer sending you something, and you see that you're not getting that email, likely it's going into the spam quarantine. And in this case, you can actually sign into a portal, which will allow you to allow that email to come through. So I'll show you that here. You click on this, and you likely won't have your account set up here yet. Once you do set that up, it will look something like this. You'll be able to, as a manager, you'll be able to review all the emails if you have several people in your team, and you can view the last several days of quarantine spam here. And in this instance, I'm going to take one of these emails and show you what you can do is, let's say this is the one that you're trying to get from your vendor. You can allow it to come through, and it will allow that sender to come through in future emails. You can release it into your inbox, forward it to somebody else. You can also view the message as well. So that is what Spam Titan looks like for the end user. Moving on here. Data protection. So what are some threats that we face here? Ransomware is one of the big ones. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this. Ransomware is essentially where it will take the computer and all the files on it and start encrypting those files and lock your computer. And after it encrypts all the files, it will lock the computer and show a message there showing that it's encrypted all the files and that you owe them money. First off, don't pay them any money, because likely you will not get your data back. You're dealing with malicious actors here, so they're not gonna just give you your data back like that. Another thing you can face is equipment failure, and that can include the computer or the external USB that you're storing the data on. I'm surprised, to be honest, with how many people still use this method, because it fails so often, and storing very important data on here is I would say you should not do that at all. And then the last one here is shadow IT, which is basically where people are storing things in different spots. Maybe somebody's storing something in Dropbox, somebody's storing something in OneDrive, somebody's storing something in the Google Drive, and they're all storing in different areas, and there's no central spot for the data to be. So my proposed solution is putting it all in OneDrive or SharePoint. It's a one cloud software to store all your data. Additionally, this is just an add-on, but I would encrypt your data, and you can do that through Microsoft, which will lock all your data so that if somebody got your laptop, they wouldn't be able to pull the files off by pulling the hard drive out, because it's all encrypted and secured there. So I'm going to show you guys a demonstration on OneDrive, and I'm going to have to back out of here again, of how you would use this. So this feature that I'm going to show you guys is called OneDrive Sync, and this is a feature where it allows you to save your everything that goes on your desktop and your documents section straight to the cloud. So as soon as you save it, it saves it straight to the cloud. This is a very good fail-safe for if you happen to, your computer crashes, or maybe something happens on there where you can't get access to it right away. You always have it in the cloud area here. So I'm showing this option here where you can click on this manage backup, and you can sync all of your documents, desktop, and also you can do pictures as well. And here you can see it's uploading all of the documents into the cloud, and then they're all there for me to view in any spot that I want, as long as I have internet access there. As an additional add-on, this is a freebie for you guys. If you go inside of Word, I'll show you something here. There's a feature, so let's just say you're working along and the power goes out, and you were working on a Word document. Well, they do have autosave features in there where it will auto-recover your document, and you may have seen that before, but they also have a feature here called autosave. If you turn that on, what it will do is autosave every time you make a change on your document, and it will save it to the cloud as well. So very handy features there, especially when you're working inside those kind of files there. All right, antivirus protection. We all have heard of the antivirus, but what's the best one? What should we use? Well, there are several threats that you face here. One is malware, and this can be anything from ransomware to something that installs pop-ups on your machine. There are so many different forms of malware there. There's also Trojans, which are essentially programs that look fine. Maybe it's a game that you install on your computer. It looks okay, but in the background it's installed some malicious software that allows remote access for a malicious actor there. And then lastly, we've got ransomware. Again, ransomware, a very popular one in the cybersecurity world. My solution, we actually resell this as a business version, but this one you can purchase a la carte on Bitdefender's website. It's called Bitdefender Ultimate Security. I'm not going to go through the process of installing that, but this is one that I would recommend. And actually, this one includes, if you notice, it includes Password Manager, which is one of the things we talked about. Also has email protection in there, and a list of other things with identity protection, and some insurance options for if you do get hacked. And lastly, general protection. So this is just talking about what other protection methods we can put in place. And one of the ones that I would recommend is installing Windows updates. So this, again, ransomware is a threat when you don't install Windows updates. You have incompatibilities. So depending on your environment, you might have issues where an application is not working, or you can't get something to link up with another application you're using because Windows updates haven't run. It's such an important thing to do, but it's so often forgotten because it's in the background and we don't think about it. Daily, yes. I would recommend running Windows updates daily. This will allow you to keep everything up to date with the latest, because this actually, when they run Windows updates, they're fixing performance issues, but also security patches as well. And then I'm going to show you guys a demonstration on this of how to run this, but also some settings in here that you might want to turn on for automatic updates. All right, so we're back in Windows here. This might be different based on your Windows. This is Windows 11 here, but you'll go to the Windows icon, type in Windows Updates. You can click on Check for Updates there. And then once you select that, you can manually check for updates by clicking on that Check for Updates, but you can also set up some options here. So one of them is this option here, Get the latest updates as soon as they're available. You can turn that on, and that will pull in your updates for you. Additionally, you can go to advanced options here, and you can receive updates for other Microsoft products. This is also very helpful. So this is going to update your Microsoft Office applications, as well as Microsoft Windows updates for your operating system. And lastly, I would select that notify me when restart is required so that you can snooze it if you need to when you're working on something. Additionally, there's one other thing you can set, which is the active hours. So when you set the active hours, what it does is it will recognize that you're working at that time, those times, and it will not run updates when you're doing that, or rather restart your computer.
I don't know if this is a stupid question, but when you're saying Windows, is it MacBook as well?
So MacBook has software updates and they're similar. It's a slightly different process, but yes, it's a similar thing where it's running operating system updates on it.
Okay.
So in conclusion, cybersecurity is all about layering and making ongoing improvements. I don't believe there's a one and done with cybersecurity because there's always, with the cybersecurity in general, it's a cat and mouse game. There's always new threats and there's always ways to secure those threats. But I do believe that putting these protection methods in place will be a good starting ground for you all with the authentication, email, data, antivirus, and general protection. And is there any questions? Yes.
If I say, yep, I want to hire TechBox to help me with all this stuff,
Absolutely.
what does that include? What do you do for my business?
So it depends on what you're looking for. If it's something where you want us to look at the security part of your business, we can run an assessment and look at your software that you're using, look at your what you guys use for Windows machines and your platform. Maybe it's Mac. You mentioned that you have Mac, so if it's Mac, it might be different. So we'll look at your environment as a whole and make recommendations based off of that. So that's some of the things we would look at. We'd also look at your software and assess, do you have two-factor on there, like we talked about? Do you have secure passwords on there? Those are the kinds of things that we would run through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a one and done sort of thing, or every quarter kind of you look through things and make sure we're good, or?
Yeah, so good question. So we can do another assessment every so often. So it's never one and done. Like I said, it's always something that's ongoing, and cybersecurity is something you can continue to improve upon and get more and more secure. But there's never like a stopping point, if that makes sense. And for us, that would look like maybe doing an assessment every year, looking at your stuff and have you guys changed anything? Is there any new stuff that you've added to your environment? That kind of thing, new software. So,
Very good. Any more questions? All right.
great. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.